And good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. This is part two of Dare to Dream Travel. And I'm so glad to be here. This is my last quarter for the year. November, I'll be on every Sunday and Monday night of November from 9 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And it's a 30-minute segment. I love what I do. I'm a degree counselor, and this is my way of giving back. So this month we're gonna be talking about Dare to Dream with different subtopics. This week is travel. Next week is gonna be another subtopic, and the week after that will be another one, and then last week will be the last final subtopic. But we're gonna be talking about. I know most people are going to resolutions, New Year's revolutions, and this is not just going to be a resolution. What we're talking about taking the actual steps of doing whatever we dare to dream to do. This week we're talking about travel. So I want to move this along. Let me start out because this 30 minutes go by so quick. This is an open forum. So, and excuse me because I'm going back and forth between my different I have different stuff here. So I can kind of answer your questions, but this is an open forum. If you have any questions, if you have any life scenarios, please feel free to go on and talk. I will pause and I will highlight whatever you're saying. Oh, good evening, CJ. Good evening. I'm going to text you back, inbox you back, CJ. I just saw your message before I got on. And so I'll answer you afterwards. But so glad to have y'all on this evening again. So let's go on and get started. All right. And so my degrees, I've acquired them from Ashford University. I'm an Ashford University graduate. And let me give you a little bit of my bio very quickly. I am a degree counselor who have acquired my dual Bachelor's of Science degrees from Ashford University in psychology and organizational management. My great passion is bringing healing to people who have been through a traumatic or stressful experience. Okay, so when human beings experience trauma or severe life stressors, it is not uncommon for people's lives to unravel. I help my clients, who include children, adults, and families, to find healthy perceptions of themselves and help strengthen their relationships so they can know themselves as peaceful, complete, whole, and safe. So that's a little bit of my bio there. Let's move this along. I want to go on and start with my website disclaimer. Excuse me. So please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. Excuse me. It should also be noted that due to the changes in policies, that all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself or other counselors or other counseling services are subject to the limitations of current and available material. But the final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal rests with you, the individual. Information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information does change frequently, and it is recommended that clients or individuals consult another physician, another specialist, and or religious leader to help aid you in your overall behavioral wellness. All right, so we're going to jump right in because this is part two of Dare to Dream, and we're talking about travel on this week. I am a Christian counselor. I'm a Christian counselor. And so I always give you a scripture for the month. I'm going to go on and magnify it so you can see it, and then I'll just go on and zoom back out. So this month's scripture comes from Deuteronomy 31:6, and it says to be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you, nor will he forsake you. Okay, so last night I talked about, I defined the word change. On last night. Tonight, I'm going to define two words on tonight. Let me open it very quickly and then close it. Travel and anxiety. So the definitions that I chose for travel is to go from one place to another, typically over a distance of some length. And in anxiety, the definition that I chose is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome, something that you're not certain of the outcome of. All right, so those are the two definitions that I chose for this evening to define. Let's go over our key points. Key points tonight is I'm going to be talking about how not to let anxiety keep you from traveling. 3 steps given to help you with your travel decisions. I'm going to have the takeaway and the quote, of course. All right, so let's open this up just a little bit. All right, and let you see this. All right, here we go. Traveling. So having new experiences is beneficial for improving brain functions and boosting your mental health. Now, remember, everything that I talk about is on a positive note, nothing negative. Okay. Okay. So travel has been linked to stress reduction and can alleviate symptoms of anxiety and depression. All right. So let's move on to how not to let anxiety stop you from traveling. Now, okay, being anxious is normal. Being anxious about something is normal initially. It's normal because, again, we get a little nervous, we get a little anxious when it comes to something that we're unfamiliar with. So that is normal. But anxiety, when we're just over worrying and stuff, that isn't. So anxiety turns into a severe anxiety that turns into being too, well, you can't get it off your brain. You just constantly worrying, constantly. That's not healthy. All right, so we're talking about tonight how not to let anxiety stop you from traveling or from making the decision to travel. Again, we've just come out of 3 years basically of COVID. And so that honestly was one of the greatest reasons why no one should travel, because we were trying to get a pandemic under control. We're kind of slowly easing up out of the pandemic right now. There's more of a handle on the situation. So even to the point where someone gets COVID, it's less people that are having fatal results from it. And so we know to still be precautious if we want to travel. But the thing is, we can travel once again. And so during COVID, a lot of the times the prices for flying and stuff went down. A lot of people started taking advantages of that. And the prices are still, they're still kind of low. You just got to catch it at the right time. So um, while the world is opening up, let's go on and jump on it. And I don't care if it's something, if you just always dream to just go over to the next state from where you live in and go see about something like a historical site or something. Do it. Let's put this motion in place. All right. So how not to let anxiety stop you from traveling? All right, 18% of the population in the United States suffers from an anxiety disorder, which that is good to know. That is so good to know. It's only 18%. So this is good. With around a quarter of these cases classified as severe. So only a quarter of 18%. That's good too. So fewer than 40% of anxiety sufferers are receiving treatment for their disorder. So the author of this, and the author is, hold on, let me see, because I know I wrote it down somewhere. Where is his name? It's gonna pop up in a minute. But the author who I did the research on, he talks about some things personally. He said he didn't seek out treatment either when it came to his experiences with anxiety. He said instead he decided to travel, okay, and hoping that would make him more self-assured, confident, more of a confident person. he longed to be, and hoping that having a panic attack on a beach in Thailand had to be better than having one at home. So he rationalized it, which I really like the way he rationalized this. But the question he posed was, but how do you actually work up the courage to leave and to travel? So, how do you deal with anxiety on the road? And how does traveling actually help reduce anxiety? How to stop being scared of traveling. Okay, so let's go to step one. And I'm going to magnify this. I'm going to zoom in and then I'm going to zoom back out. Let's move it on to step one. Okay, and see, we can't see that it's step one, but it's there. Step one says, here's how to calm your mind. Get over and how to get over your anxiety and to get yourself out onto the road. Okay, number one, remind yourself why you want to travel. Okay, whenever you think about canceling your trips or not booking a trip, picture yourself in a place that you most want to visit, and then tell yourself that you have to get there and see what it's like. Imagine yourself in that place, living the life that you've dreamed without any anxiety at all in sight. And these positive affirmations will calm you down. And doing these affirmations repeatedly will help you grasp the idea that you can successfully travel the globe or travel the world. Number one, again, number two, excuse me. Number two is saying, imagine your life 1 year from now once you start traveling. Okay, what will happen if you decide to cancel your trip? It's likely that a year from now, you'll find yourself thinking, daggone it. He said the other word. I'm just going to say daggone it. But he said the D word. Okay. He said, I had the chance to travel and I did not take it. It was the fear of living with regrets that forced him to take a chance and then to leave. And this is the author. Bullet point number three says, find a community. Find a community. There are a dozen forums out there for anxiety sufferers. And the author said that his favorite one is No More Panic. That's the group that he's in, No More Panic. So, where you can post whenever you're struggling and receive help and support from community members, as well as calming tricks to talk yourself down. Integrate, integrate yourself into a community like this one before you leave. Okay, so that if anxiety does hit you when you're on the road, you won't feel like you're struggling on your own. So I like what the author is saying here. He's saying join a group, and then he suggests one called No More Panic. Now, I met again. I love traveling. I met, and I'm looking down to see if anyone is commenting here. Hold on, let me okay, let me see. And feel free to comment if you choose to. I met so many awesome people by traveling, flying on planes and going to different states, getting on cruise ships, and just getting on a boat and meeting people from all over the world. Of course, flying overseas, London, France, Italy, going to these different places and meeting so many. And I still have friends from Brazil and different places like that who from years ago with me traveling. I would say, and I'm going to agree from a personal perspective, traveling really is a stress reducer. I mean, you're able to see this beautiful globe. Again, you don't have to start big. I still one of the main places I want to go to is Dubai. I want to go to Dubai. And I'm planning on, I know that's a little more expensive trip. You got to stay there a little bit longer. So my planning has to be about a year out before I can do this. But I want to go to Dubai. I understand that the place is such a beautiful place. Awesome place to go shopping. I definitely want to learn more about the culture while I'm there. And so you don't have to, start small. Start small. Okay, so bullet point number four says meticulously plan out your first few days when you do decide to travel. Want to plan them out. Anxiety often stems from feeling like you're not in control. So, a way to negate this is to plan out every detail of your first day or two while you're on the road. And here are some suggestions. He said, look for a map and photos of the arrivals terminal, excuse me, of the airport, and then plan your route through the building process. Google what to do if your luggage gets lost, and write down a set of instructions for this just in case it happens. Plan to take a taxi from the airport to your accommodations so you don't have to deal with unfamiliar transport on your first day. Write down a list of things that you want to do during your time that you're there of travel. I know I do that whether I travel in state or out of state, a lot of times or out of the country. And most of my family, they know I plan. I learned how to plan things or events when I go away. And the good thing about that is you can prepay for certain things. You can prepay, pay it up. So when you get there, you already have your tickets. All you have to do is just grab your tickets. Or a lot of times they're e-tickets. Just go when you get there, show it, and go on and have a good time. So I wholeheartedly agree with this. Meticulously plan out your days or your first few days while you're there. Now you don't have to plan every day, because you should have some days of leisure while you're there. Corey, CJ said yes, exactly. But do plan ahead to make sure that you plan for even such awkward things that may happen, like the author said. Just in case, God forbid, if your luggage gets not lost, but maybe put on another plane and it has to be rerouted back to you. Okay. The author says by focusing on each step at a time, you can feel like you're in control and that you won't fear the unexpected as much. So he says, remember that you can always go home. And that's the truth. You can always go home. All right. So if you try it for a few weeks and realize that traveling is not for you or that it isn't the right time for you, you can always go home. So it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that you tried something and you didn't like it, like food. Like food. I think the worst thing you can say is that, oh, I don't eat that, and you never tried it. If you tried it and said that's not the food for me, that's one thing. But you know what I'm saying. I'm not talking about trying it again. Everything that I'm talking about is in a positive sense. I'm not now. I will never ever encourage anyone to do anything that's detrimental to their health. Okay, so we're always going to talk about things that are positive on a positive note. Step two, and this is broken. Step two is, or suggestion number two. Let me open this up, and this has a lot of multifacets to it, a lot of subtopics up under it. Step two says dealing with anxiety when you travel. So the author said, if you're like him, the biggest concern will be over how you'll cope if you have a panic attack abroad, somewhere when you're away from the house. So what if it happened in a dorm room? Or even worse, when you're on a flight and you can't escape? You'll have to deal with these fears on top of the ones that are non-anxious travelers face: getting lost, getting sick, not making friends, and not enjoying it. All right. So the author said that he still experiences occasional panic attacks on the road, but there are plenty of ways to reduce travel anxiety. And he's about to go on and give some examples. I'm going to go on and let me move this so y'all can see this, try to give you some visuals. Okay, remember you can always go home. Let me go back. Let me okay. Um okay, number 2, here we go. All right. So, he says form a routine. Form a routine. So, travel can be stressful and disoriented. And it can be, especially when you're in an unfamiliar place. Let me give you an example, and I'm gonna jump back in. I love that I have such awesome sister and brother friends. And so my husband and I were going to a small town in Texas. You know, everywhere you go, they have these little small unfamiliar towns that you've never heard of. And so we were going to a very small unfamiliar town in Texas where our friends lived. And the travel, we had to fly into either Houston or Austin, Texas, to get there. And so once we got off of the highway, it's like all of these back roads that you have to take in order to get to the small town. You talk about nervous. I was like, oh Lord, Jesus. And then of course, when you get in them back signals, you kind of lose your signals. In the back roads, you lose your signaling. Where when you're trying to get there, and I'm like, oh God, the phone is cutting up, and I didn't have no backup, and But I always, thank God, I always print out directions. I don't solely rely on technology. Wherever I go, I don't care where I'm going. I always print out directions. So we were looking at the printed out directions because the signal was going in and out, and we was on the right roads, and it was giving us all the right turns and everything. But I got a little anxious because it was an unfamiliar place. I was like, oh my gosh, it was hardly nobody there around. But I followed the directions, the physical directions on the paper. We got there within the time frame that it said we was going to get there. While we were looking at the map, the printed out map, every little landmark, everything checked out. It was everything was on point. The gas stations that was on the map, the stores, everything was on point. And so when we were able to get back on the main highway, and or what they called their main highway, um, and we got signal again, everything checked out. So being anxious is a normal part of everything. Okay. So, in order to feel like you've had some control over your life, create a routine that there's always a part of your day when you'll know exactly what will happen. This is some advice. Form a routine. So, try setting an alarm every morning and then heading out for a morning run while you're away. Even though the location may change, the simple act I'm sorry, I'm trying to see if anyone is talking. The simple act of doing the same thing morning after morning gives you something to expect and looking forward to. Similarly, you can try eating a sandwich every day for lunch or having dinner at the same time every evening. You could set aside one day of a week as a treat day where you go for a massage and head to the cinema to watch a movie. And it's all about staying in control. And these small constants will help you with that. Now, I want to put in this. I'm so grateful for the for social media era, because you can still meet people. You can meet people who travel. You can become a part of a travel group. It's a lot of things that you can do. You can join a travel group that likes to travel. A bunch of people that want to go travel, and they're going as a group. So that's one thing to think about, being a part of a travel group. You can also meet people online, and then you use your own judgment if you feel that the person checks out or not with that. But it's different things that you can do to aid you and you are meeting your goal. All right, so he says to ignore your intuition. Practically every article that he read about staying safe on the road tells you to listen to your intuition. The problem for anxiety sufferers is that your instincts will always tell you something bad, and that there's something bad is going to happen. So what the author said is, if he paid attention to his intuition, he would rarely ever step outside of his house, and would have never gone on his trips, and would never have accepted an invitation from new friends on the road. Okay, so that's one thing. If people that suffer from high anxiety, he said, don't ignore your intuition, because your intuition is going to tell you don't do nothing. Okay, another example he gave is set money aside for bad days. Again, that's if you're at home, you have to have a emergency fund set aside. So this is some great advice here. Just like you may have an emergency fund set aside at home, you do the same thing with travel when you're traveling somewhere. All right, so he says everyone likes to save money on the road, but forcing yourself to always go for the cheapest options can negatively affect your mental health. Staying in dorm rooms night after night, long bus journeys to save a few dollars here and there, it can all add up to one big panic attack. So he recommends keeping a few $100s aside for these situations. The author said that when he was in Laos, he experienced the unluckiest 48 hours of his life. It involved him eating a cockroach staying in the dirtiest accommodations he's seen, watching a woman die from malaria, sitting next to the woman and her grieving husband for several hours, getting locked inside of the next guest house that he stayed in, having another cockroach run over his face as he slept, and being sexually assaulted by a backpacker. I don't think I should have read this to y'all. Could we just back up with that? I'm sorry, that is wow. Okay. He said he was on the verge of flying home, but instead he decided to blow a week's worth of travel costs on a night of recovery. Okay, he booked himself into the highest rated hotel in the city. He spent a day inside catching up on sleep and watching movies. He treated himself to an expensive meal and he got a manicure and pedicure. Taking time, he said, taking time for himself helped reduce his anxiety and he regained his confidence so that he felt able to travel again. Okay, so it says it's unlikely that you'll ever be as unlucky as he was on the road. But if you ever experience something stressful and traumatizing, book yourself into a fancy hotel room, treat yourself to room service, and have a long hot bath to relax. Take the time out of your schedule to make yourself feel good. He said the trick is not to allow yourself to do this for too long. Once he gets into the habit of staying inside, it can be tough for him to pull himself back out of that hole and to start exploring again. So, in cases of burnout, in cases of exhaustion, or bouts of anxiety, he recommends spending 3 days inside to recover and then doing something intimidating on the fourth day. Example, he said, no, your mileage may vary. Pick the time that works for you. Now, what I suggest, I don't ever suggest to stay where he stayed. He talking about he stayed in dorms and stuff like that. We don't have to do that to travel anymore. We have Airbnbs, we have Marriott's, we have, because that's how I would travel. Whatever we have here over here in America, in the USA, they have overseas. So if you're going to do it, I would always stay with a partner. If a Marriott is not where you're going, then you better believe they have a partnered hotel where you go, and the rate is going to be comparable to over here overseas. I would never suggest to go stay in somebody's dormitory or someone's house if you're going to go travel, especially out of state and overseas, or in another country. Stick with brand names, stick with global type of things. Airbnb is global now. I would stick with Marriott's and Hilton's and those type of things. I would stay in those type of hotels if you're going to travel. So if something is not to your liking when you travel, you can contact corporate and they will make it better for you. Okay. All right. He then says, remember, bad luck can often be good luck. So whenever he's tried to deal with bad luck while traveling, he felt disheartened and even considered returning home. What helped him to keep him on the road was changing the way that he viewed those unpleasant experiences. So anxiety leads to irrational thoughts. It does. Now, this is very true. Anxiety always leads to irrational thought patterns. Okay. And will forever have you worrying about the worst case scenarios. Sometimes that scenario will actually happen, and you'll survive it. So you'll realize that you're far stronger than you thought that you were, and that the things that you were most anxious about are never actually as bad as you expected, and that you're well equipped to deal with with things that may go wrong. They may go wrong. We don't want to assume that they will. They may go wrong. Then he says, leave your comfort zone. Okay, repeated exposure to your fears is more successful at treating anxiety than avoidance. And the best way to conquer anxiety is by doing one thing a day that scares you. Travel is great for this. Now, I'm not talking about if you're afraid of snakes, go and get a snake and play with it. That's not what we're talking about here. He's talking about rational, logical things like riding a bike. If you never rode a bike before, I can say I did not learn how to ride a bike growing up. So, but I always wanted to try it. But I had to be logical. This is me. I had to be logical with it. So what I did was I bought a three-wheeler. And I'm got more and more comfortable with riding that. One day I'm gonna probably take them back wheels off of it and be able to, or a back wheel off, and then be able to ride a bike. But I'm doing things in increments, because even, believe it or not, even riding a three-wheeler, you can trip that, you can flip that thing over and hurt yourself bad too. So everything, there's a risk to everything. But I agree, conquer your fears. The best way to do it is by trying it. Not, again, nothing dangerous or detrimental to your health, though. All right, so let me move this along because we're almost done. Step two, because we're at the end. All right, so he says whether it's figuring out the public transport system wherever you're going in an unfamiliar city, or accepting an invitation to hang out with a local, which, again, I love meeting people. So I'm gonna meet up with people in an open area. And I've done this myself. Okay, what he's saying, I've met up with people I don't know. Met up in a restaurant. We ate together, enjoyed each other's company, exchanged information, and I'm still friends with them to this day. Okay, I still, so I love this. He says, so again, whether it's figuring out the public transport in an unfamiliar city, or accepting an invitation to hang out with a local, try stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something new every day. But what if everything is new and frightening? This is a question. Simple. Google it. That's something we can do now. Google it. The author said that he'd never been on a bus before, and he went abroad. So he spent half an hour researching how they worked and what you were supposed to say when you stepped on board. It helped. It helped lessen his anxiety and made him feel more capable. Now, I have to say, Google, I'm grateful for Google. I remember years before social media, and I was in London. I was in London, and I was pregnant with one of my babies on the road. I was working and singing, and we were at the Hard Rock Cafe for lunch over in London. And of course, most pregnant people have to use the bathroom a lot. So I had to go to the restroom. I had asked the waitress, and I said, "Where? Can you tell me where the restroom is?" And she pointed and over there. So I'm looking. And I came back. I said, "Oh my God, I have to go so bad. I don't see the restroom." So she walked me over and showed me, and looked at she said, "This is the restroom." It said the loo. Well, I wasn't familiar with loo. It's called the Waterloo overseas. And it said the loo. And I was like, oh, so I had to learn that way. Now we can Google everything. So, like he said, Google it. All right. So, calming exercises and simple. CJ said, don't feel bad. I'm afraid to drive a car. For real? Oh, well, you know what, CJ? But you live up north. That's why we don't have to drive cars up north. So you live up there. It's easy to take public transportation up there, but try living down south. Oh my God. You either gonna have to be real rich taking them Ubers and them lifts, or hire you a driver, or what. But that's okay. Cause CJ, you could do it, take your time. Go hire, if you haven't done it already, I don't know. Take some driving lessons. I did. I learned how to drive a little bit. I was in my 20s when I learned how to drive, because, again, from New York. So my husband was a great teacher at the time, but teaching me was a different type of experience because my nerves was rattled. So we hired a driving instructor, and that's what I did. I got with a driving instructor, and I had several lessons, and then went on and took my driver's license in New York, my test. That was a whole experience. It's nothing like down south. It was a whole experience, and I failed the first time. Second time I passed. So it's never too late for you to get your driver's license and to drive. And then, just knowing how to drive, and then liking drive, it's a good thing to know how to drive. You don't have to like it. You don't have to drive all the time, but it's a good thing to know how to drive. So just in case you ever get an experience or in a predicament where you need to drive, at least you know how to drive. So, but again, you live up north, so you good. You good. All right. So what the author was saying is common experience. Okay, he said, all right. So he said, common exercises and simple tricks are also great for helping you to gain confidence to step outside of your comfort zone. He said, try breathing in for 5 seconds and out for 7 seconds, or place an elastic band around your wrist and snap it against your skin to keep you distracted. Oh, let me take my glasses off for this one. Don't do that. Don't do that one. Don't do the rubber band thing that he suggested. Please don't. That goes into something different. Please don't. Okay, So he said that if he's particularly intimidated by a new experience, the combination of those two things help him take the step into the unknown. Let me tell you this again. Just do the breathing exercises, guys. Don't do the rubber band thing. Please don't. That can open up a door for something totally different. All right. Avoid your triggers. Alcohol always makes his anxiety worse. Alcohol a lot of times make most people worse. Okay. CJ, you laughing. Please don't do that. Don't do the rubber band thing, guys. Don't do it. Okay. So alcohol always makes the author's anxiety worse. Alcohol makes a lot of people worse, whether they have anxiety or not. So he intends to avoid it when he's traveling. So before he leaves, he comes up with a list of everything that triggers his anxiety, and he tries to minimize the exposure to it on the road. So not many people consider teetotaling. Is that saying that about teetotaling when they're traveling? But if it prevents you from having a panic attack, it's well worth it. I don't even know what teetotaling is. Listen, I just overlooked that when I was doing my research. Okay, so don't compare your experiences, is what he's saying. It's easy to beat yourself up when you look at your friends' travel experiences or read a travel blog full of beautiful photos and glowing trip reports. It can increase feelings of inadequacy and make you feel as if you're the only person who's suffering. All right. So if all you ever see is people having the most incredible time in their lives, it can leave you feeling like you're doing something wrong or not making the most of the opportunity that you've been given. Don't let these feelings lead to more anxiety. CJ said right. Right. So remind yourself that everyone curates. So you often won't see the bad side of their travels. Don't compare yourself to anyone else because you never know who's battling with anxiety behind the scenes. And we know social media makes everything right now look like, oh, and it's not. Okay. Remember, there's going to be good and bad with everything. Before COVID hit, again, I would travel often throughout the year. I would travel often. I mean, often. And then I would make it my business. My husband and I would make it our business to cruise. We would go on like 3 cruises a year. Well, every time I go cruising, it is without fail. I always get seasick. I know one of them days that I'm gonna be on that ship, I'm gonna be seasick. It just is what that's my body. I have the stuff to put behind your ears. I got the stuff to put on my wrist. I got, if I take the pills though, the pills make me so drowsy too. I'm just gonna sleep the whole day away. So it happens. I don't never ever snap pictures of me laying in my cabin in the bed like this. So remember, you got to take the good with the bad. Somebody told me a trick the last time I was on the boat. They said for some reason, if you eat a green apple, it curbs the seasickness. I've never tried it, but I plan, like I said last night, I'm booking a cruise now to go on like early part of next year. Because it's been 2 years. I'm ready to go. I want to get back on the boat. I love the boat. So I am going to make sure that I find a way to get me a green apple to try it out. I still bring my Dramamine. I still bring all of that. But I know I always get seasick at least one day while I'm on the boat. But you're not gonna see me snapping no pictures and taking videos of me while I'm laying on, and while I'm missing out. My husband, he be out there, he be wherever on the Lido deck, in the casino, at the bar. He come check on me between each stop. You good? How you feeling? I'm like, "Ugh. I bought you some more food, some more soup or something." You know. So I promise you, I miss out like one day every time I get on a cruise because of that. So, like he's saying, like the author is saying, it's the truth. It's the truth. Don't compare your trip with anyone else. Listen, we all just let's highlight the good and eliminate the bad. All right. All right. So step number 3, and let me move this along so y'all can see this. Step number 3, and y'all ain't gonna be able to see step number 3, but you'll see my, okay. All right, here we go. The author says that writing about his anxiety on his travel blogs was the best thing that he could ever do. And until that point, he'd hidden it from his writing because no other bloggers were discussing what he says mental health issues in public. He was afraid that people would judge him, and if he wrote about the panic attacks that he started having around the world, that almost as if it was a sign that he was a bad traveler or that he wasn't making the most of his opportunities, and that's not the truth. Instead, the opposite happened. The author said that people started relating to his article and they started sharing with him their personal stories of traveling with anxiety. He reached several hundreds of emails. He received several hundreds of emails from those people who have an anxiety disorder, but decided to travel like him. They was going to travel the world as their therapy. They succeeded at it. He said he received hundreds more from people who dream of traveling but are too nervous to take that plunge. So the author was saying that his story of how his travel misadventures helped him overcome anxiety even caught the attention of a major publisher. He said in his book, How Not to Travel the World, is about getting out of your comfort zone no matter how many panic attacks life throws at you. And it's about dealing with unfavorable situations, learning to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and falling in love with life on the road. So 5 years ago, the author said he sat home and tentatively planned out an itinerary for his dream trip around the world. It didn't ever really, and he never really thought that he would be able to work up enough courage to do it. He said he was scared to travel, and he said, but today he's in an apartment in Madrid. He lives in Spain, in Madrid. 4 years into his travels with 60 stamps in his passport. That's awesome. He said he's had a total of 2 anxiety attacks in the past 12 months. But travel has been the one thing that has helped him conquer his anxiety more than anything else. He says sometimes it downright terrifies him, but it also challenges him by forcing him to leave his comfort zone and comfort him by giving him the freedom to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And the combination of all 3 of these have done wonders for his mental health. He said he's reached a point where he struggles to even think of something that would take him out of his comfort zone now, and that he's proven that it is possible to travel the world with a debilitating anxiety disorder. Lauren Joliffe runs a website that says Never Ending Footsteps and is also the author of a recent book called How Not to Travel the World. All right. Adventures of a Disaster Prone Backpacker. They finished it early this week and would definitely recommend it as a good summer read. Okay, but probably biased since Lauren is his friend. And he'll add that he gave the book to a girl on his Morocco tour and she has not put it down. So she loves it, and now she's talking about a solo trip for her own. And she thinks that a big vote of confidence takes this as a big vote of confidence. Now, I chose to highlight travel this week. Okay, I chose it because a lot of people, what we can do as people in general is we can talk ourselves out of doing something that we've always dreamed to do. And I'm here to tell you, forget the resolutions, forget the New Year's resolutions. Let's do the New Year, put it into action. We've done it. Put it, like I said last night. If it's something that you want to do, I even see now where you can book a flight and you can pay on that flight. You don't, years ago, or even, I think post COVID, you would have to pay your flight up in advance. Now they give you an option to even pay on your flight. So I said tonight, one of my goals is to go to Dubai. I want to go to Dubai. I also want to go to Australia. Okay, so I'm going taking the steps of now of that. Those are more expensive trips, so they have to be planned out like at least a year out. But I am starting my travels all over again post COVID. Okay, post COVID. I think I said post earlier. I meant to say pre COVID, but post COVID. I'm starting early 2023. I'm starting my travels again. I will give y'all an update when I plan on going to Dubai, because that's something I've always wanted to do. Go over to Dubai, and y'all know I'll be taking pictures and videos of everything when I'm there. All right, so I wanted to do something different this month in November. Dare to dream. We started with this week with travel. Listen, put it in action. It doesn't have to be an expensive travel. Do something. I don't care if you go over, like I said, to the next state over and go look at a historical site. Something maybe you can drive there, or if you take a quick flight, but do it. Don't make it a resolution. Make it something that I'm doing this. Do this. Okay. So I want to open this up with the takeaway. All right. The takeaway says traveling is important in life because it will open you up to a new way of living and being. You will experience new connections with people and places and immerse yourself in different cultures, which can help widen your perspective. So much learning and personal growth can come from traveling. Again, I'm pushing. Do something out of something you've always wanted to do. I said last night, I have a cousin of mine. She stepped out of the box last year and she booked the trip to come here to Atlanta to spend her birthday. We're in our 50s, to spend her 50 something birthday with us, me and my husband and our grown folk. And she did it. She came by herself. She was only here for the weekend. We planned an entire weekend for her. We had no idea that our cousin had never bowled before. That was just one of the events that we planned. She never said that to us. She went bowling. We had a ball. She told us during while we were doing it that she never bowled before and that she enjoyed it and she was good at it. Even to the point, because I was videoing and taking pictures and snapping and putting on social media, and some of the family was calling her saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You don't bowl." And she said, "I do now." She stepped out of the box and did something. And now bowling is something that she looks forward to doing. So again, it don't have to be huge. It don't have to be. Next time we have to go over to California and spend time with them. Now I've been to California, and I'm definitely looking forward to going back there because California is fun. It's real fun. But step outside the box. No, forget the resolution. Let's make this a reality. No resolution or reality. Travel. Y'all book. I don't care if you book it at the end. Do something now. Book it for the end of next year. Make it a reality. Put a deposit on it. Make it a reality. All right. So I will see y'all this coming Sunday. Moving into week two of Dare to Dream under a different topic. I'll see y'all then. My new days are Sunday and Monday, but the same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To it's supposed to be 9:30. We ran over again. Listen, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. I'll see you Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dare to Dream. All right. Make not a resolution, a reality. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go. I'm ready to go, y'all. Let me see. The quote is, if you never go, you'll never know. I don't know who the author was, but I really love this quote. If you never go, you'll never know. All right. This is my website theories. If anyone wants to see where I got my research from, here they are. Okay. If there's a past counsel of the day, hold on, let me read this. Okay. If there's a past counsel of the day with Shanrae series that you've missed or you just want to rewatch, you can go to my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price. Please subscribe and select any past series that you would like to watch. All right, I'm a professional one-on-one counselor. I offer professional one-on-one counseling services. So if you're interested in professional one-on-one counseling services, feel free to contact me via my Facebook Messenger at Shanrae Owens. Shanrae Owens. Okay. Or at my email address at shanrae.price@gmail.com. I'm a lifestyle strategist, and my aim, oh my God, hold on. And my aim is to aid you in your life's goals and dreams. Okay, guys, I will see you for week 2 this Sunday night. Y'all have a wonderful week. Dare to dream, do it, but we're going to do something more than dream. We're going to not do a resolution, we're going to do a reality. All right, see y'all Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for week 2. Good night, everybody.